Okay, our next presentation is going to focus on WeBWork, and our presenters are Alex Jordan, a mathematics instructor from Portland Community College, and Robin Cruz, a mathematics instructor at the College of Idaho. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm going to paste a link to my slides in the chat because they have some interactive features, and I might be talking about something, but anybody's welcome to just go somewhere else in the slides and play if you like. There it is. Get started. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to start, and towards the end, I'm going to hand it off to Robin. Just as like a brief abstract with 15 minutes. And this is a content creation discussion, but I don't really want to, I think the 15 minutes wouldn't be enough to really get into how to create WeBWork content. We'll look at that very lightly, but I thought I'd use this time to just show some things that WeBWork can do. And then we'll leave you with reference to resources for how to actually do most of those things. So on this first collection of slides, I've just got some demonstrations of the kind of problem. You know what? I'm so sorry. I didn't really give the overview. WeBWork is an online homework platform. It's open source software, usually open source problems that are available to everyone through a common open problem library. So, you know, one of its commercial counterparts would be like Pearson's MyMathLab. Okay, so I'm going to show some of the problem exercise types that you could create if you were using WeBWork. These slides are interactive, so it's loading the page behind the scenes. You can try some things. And some of these things I'm just going to verbally describe, and some of them I'm actually going to show you and discuss. But in this first block, numerical answers work like you might expect. You can wire it to want an exact answer. You can use relative error tolerance, you know, a certain percentage up or down, or you can have a plus or minus absolute amount that you want. It can handle fractions for answers. Again, if you want to explore this, feel free to. But here, 1/2 or 0.5 or 3/6, those would all be counted correct. But this next one is really forcing the student to use 1/2 for the answer. It can handle percent answers. This particular one, problem C, can handle 0.5. It's equivalent to typing 50%. It's equivalent to typing 1/2. They're all understood. And this item D is the first one that I'd actually like to execute. One of David Savone wrote most of this stuff that's actually happening here. And one of the many things he contributed is like a currency context. So, you know, the answer is not going to be counted correct as 0.50. If I submit that, you get a message that it's not a monetary value. WeBWork understands the kind of answer that the student submitted and the kind that it's expecting. And to get this one right, I gotta use the right notation for it. Another numerical kind of answer might have units on it. You might know that acceleration from gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. And let me submit that, and I got credit for that. But you might also know that it's 32 feet per second squared, and the units parser here is actually able to convert between meters and feet and get that sorted out. If you want to require a particular unit system, you may, but by default, it recognizes things that are equivalent. So this was a page full of like numerical answers. Here's a page just demonstrating some math quantity answers. I want to repeat this point that WeBWork will understand the type of answer that it's looking for and the type of thing that a student entered. So here it's looking for the point 0,0, but I tried just entering 0, and my feedback tells me that I didn't actually enter a point. I could try 0,0 without the parentheses, and my feedback message again is going to be criticizing my technique. And to get it correct, I'm going to have to use the right delimiters on it. So, you know, I'm not going to demonstrate everything. We could enter vectors. You can either type them in with arrow symbols, or you want to give away how many coordinates there are, or if you prefer to use the vertical alignment, you can do that. It can handle complex numbers. It can handle interval answers. Is a common answer at a college level math course. You can enter matrices, although this notation is maybe not friendly to everybody, so you can go ahead and give away that this is a 2x2 matrix. You can do things like the solution set to problem F here is 1 and 2, and a student might come to the problem, I don't know what the format they expect, so they just type something like 1, 2, and let's see what happens. And I got credit for it. It liked that, but it also gave me a little bit of a, I wouldn't, slap on the wrist is too strong, but it, that's built into the problem to request a slightly different style. You could even do something that a student might do like this. And again, I get credit for it, but it's mildly chastising me for not using the most universal notation for a solution set. This is a problem I like, where the question that all 4 answers are mathematically the same. It's looking for x squared plus 4x plus 3. And it will take that in part A, but I'm just going to copy paste everywhere else. And these other ones are looking for the same expression, but in a particular form. And if I submit these, I got credit for A and C, but WeBWork recognizes the algebraic equivalence of my answer to the correct answer, but I was asked for factored form. I'm not going to get credit until I do something like this for the answer to B. So I think that's another strength. Unless you have a computer algebra system, it's challenging to distinguish mathematical expressions that are algebraically equivalent. But sometimes in the course of a math class, you want to have the student recognize them differently. There's a collection of exercises here that have equation and inequality style answers. I don't think I'm going to demonstrate any of them, but again, feel free to try them out if you'd like to. Got true false questions, multiple choice. You would expect a system to have those because those are really easy to implement, and WeBWork does have them. Here's a new feature that Glenn Rice contributed to WeBWork for the most recent edition. You can have graphical answers. So the task here is to recreate whatever that shape is. It's a circle, okay? And you have all these tools available to you. You can do inequalities if you want, and I'm gonna get this one wrong. And you get some feedback if that's been coded into the problem. Let me get this one right now. I'm gonna delete that line. Delete the fill. Then let's get this right. I'm making a circle right here. Yeah, I got it right. Another new feature for WeBWork problems is the ability to make graphs with ticks, the LaTeX related drawing package. So I should stress that this graph here was generated on the fly. It wasn't like an image file that was uploaded into the problem, and it's always like this for a different student who came to this problem. Maybe the circle will randomly be placed somewhere else. And so it works like, can I get this one right? Oh, I think it's the same circle as the last one was. And that's another fun one too. I skipped to the page on equation answers. This is one of David's contributions as well, the ability to handle an equation answer. Now let's do something silly like multiply by 2 everywhere. That's still the same circle. It should be right. And it still is counted correct, even though it's not in a canonical form. WeBWork can handle essay answers. Just answer the question. And of course, here, you're not going to get any automated grading. There's a mechanism if you were actually using the real WeBWork for the instructor to manually assess these. For really creative exercises, there's not one correct answer. Here we're asking for two numbers where the GCD is 3. So, a 6 all by itself is not correct or incorrect. You have to have something else to pair with it. And WeBWork can take 2 answers, and there's a mechanism for processing them to see if it was right or not. But just so you know, I'm not making everything correct. There you go. You can have scaffolded problems. So here I'd have to get the first part correct before the second part would be revealed, and you can build on that and make longer and longer problems. This last example has demonstrates some of the help features. You can build in hints, you can build in solutions, you can have a little pop-up that gives some input syntax help. But my favorite thing about this is this is an incorrect answer that would be common for a student to answer, and this problem has been coded to look for that, and it gives a special feedback message when that happens. It won't give that special feedback message if you're just wrong for some other reason. So it's kind of like what a human would do if they were grading and leaving feedback on the paper. So we don't have time to really get into authoring, but this is a really bare bones WeBWork problem, what the code for it looks like. And you just have a start and a stop to it. There's a section in the beginning where you load the tools that you're going to be using. And this one line here is one of David's contributions, is very powerful. You set a context, which is, it gives WeBWork the ability to understand this thing 0, 1. Well, is that a point in 2-dimensional space, or is that an interval from 0 to 1 on the number line? The context gives it what it needs to interpret that kind of string from the student correctly. And then beyond that, it gives WeBWork the ability to grade those things, process them, compare them to other things in a way that's pedagogically valid. You could have some code that sets things up. We got a random variable, we make the function, we compute its derivative automatically. And then in the end, you just tell it what the end user is supposed to see. And you can use, this math is going to come out using mathjacks by default. You can define an answer blank with what the answer is supposed to be and how wide the answer blank should be. Version 2.16 was recently released, and got some slides here to just show you some of the new features. Some of you may have used WeBWork in the past and you're already familiar with it. I didn't want to go over old features. But I think a cool new feature is this ability here to give feedback on all the exercises in a problem set, and also to manually adjust the score. In the past, if you wanted to adjust the score, it was kind of tedious. Now you can just do it right while you're viewing the problem. Now it's easy to transition from student to the next if you're acting as a student, just to keep tabs on progress. If you start a quiz, then there's a confirmation screen to ask the student, are you sure you want to do this? Because the timer is going to start. You haven't seen it so far, but mathquill is a tool now that can be used. The answer blank, you can start typing, like maybe type in Desmos or some other online systems, and it just sort of formats everything as you type. Some instructors maybe turn that off because they want the order of operations rules to be part of the process. And there's a panel over here where you can get more fancy things. And on this slide, I just put a big list of other things that were part of the new release. So I'm going to pass it off to Robin. I hope I haven't taken up on all the time here. Robin, do you have it loaded?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, no, I'm just going to ask you to go with the
great.
screens, otherwise it'd be too hard. I don't know if you can all hear me. So the WeBWork project is a group that kind of formed in 2018. I've been part of it since that time. And it's sort of the more formal group that's trying to manage overseeing improvements to WeBWork and so on. So this is our web page that we've just gotten put together this year. Can I have the next slide, please? So, so we have been working in collaboration with MAA for many years now, and part of our materials remain on their site for the time being. So this is the main documentation wiki that has a lot of information on it for people. If you go there, for example, I think can you click on the instructors? So you can go to this page, and we had a workshop this summer where people got together and tried to update the material and make sure that things were current and so on. It's still a work in progress. But you can find a lot of resources there if you're trying to run a course, or if you're trying to write problems, or if you're managing a server. Next slide, please. Okay, so I don't think we have time to talk about the forums, but in the forum, you can, if you go into the forums from the website that we just showed you, you can actually ask your own question if you have a particular, you can actually ask your own questions for a particular problem you might have, and then people from the WeBWork community will get back to you with solutions from their own experience, and so on. So we have a lot of really good people there manning questions for people. Alex is one of them, and I have asked many questions myself. Okay, next slide, please. You can download WeBWork from GitHub and the Open Problem Library, which is, I don't know how many problems that are in there now, probably tens of thousands of problems, which are openly available to people. And I'm going to have you to the next slide, because we're almost out of time.
40,000.
Training, yeah, we're thinking we're at. So we do have we have held training workshops here. For the past 3 years, I've been involved in the Introduction to WeBWork workshop that we've run at JMM or MathFest. We did it virtually this year, spread out over a month, 1 day a week. We also have had trainings on how to author problems. There are recordings from the 2015 workshop that you can find at that link. And a company, Rationarium, is also offering training as a service. They're a new company. Is there another slide? Finally, one of the best ways to do WeBWork is to have WeBWork on your own institution server, which is what we have here. You can also rent some space and download it. There are a couple places that you can get hosting. Runestone and Rationarium are two companies here that we have worked with. The WeBWork project has worked with. Okay, I went. Probably lots of questions.
Yeah, that's.
But
So if anybody has any questions right now, or maybe we should stop and wait until the end of the presentations.
yeah. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you guys so much. That's really great. And thanks for the demonstrations of how the technology works. I think that's really eye-opening in terms of the power it has to basically handle anything that you might want to ask students to know and be able to do. Did anyone have any immediate questions specific to for Alex and Robin? All right. Oh, yeah, Jonathan, please.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is the right. Annika, do you want people to ask questions
Yeah,
right
go
now?
ahead.
Or,
That's
okay.
fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
So I wonder if maybe Robin or either of you could answer the question. So my colleagues use a commercial textbook for a lot of the lower level math courses, and they come with these online homework systems from the commercial publishers. And I tell them, oh, they're a great OER for college algebra or Calc 1 or stat or something. They say, but we use the online tools that come with Pearson or some commercial. And I say, well, there are great tools like WeBWork is fantastic. I've used it a little bit. I like it a lot. How different would the experience be for one of my colleagues using an existing OER and I guess downloading problems from the problem library you mentioned in passing, and using a commercial product with an associated online tool?
Well, you know, there's.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead, Alex.
You know, my open math, we have a presentation coming up, and WeBWork is the the homework system counterpart of those online commercial tools. But a lot of those have more going on, like integration with the textbook, and there's sort of an LMS-esque thing within. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that WeBWork does offer a great replacement for the online homework element of it. And MyOpenMath offers a great replacement for that. Also, it has some LMS-like things where you can build connections to your other OER resources. And then pretext is coming up. So I don't know, Robin, maybe you want to answer more directly, but I think I was going to make the point that the two presentations coming up would be good to see alongside your question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little more effort that has to go in, but the faculty, we have new people, we have adjuncts come in all the time in my school, and they're usually able to pick it up after just a little, showing people what's what. They function pretty well after about a week, so.
Thanks. And thanks, Jonathan. Great question. I'm sure that was on sort of everyone's mind. And we have a lot of OER advocates in the room that may or may not actually be mathematicians. So helping to unpack, what to say about these different products is great.